regular mail or snail mail, which is some people call. If I write a letter and I seal the envelope and I put the postage on there and I send it, put it in the mailbox, one of those blue mailboxes, and I drop that in the mailbox, government does not have the authority to go in that mailbox and take the letter out, read the letter, seize the letter without a warrant. So it flows through the United States postal system from wherever to wherever, and it lands in somebody else's mailbox. That mail, generally speaking, is protected under the Fourth Amendment because it violates the Fourth Amendment if government seizes it and goes into the contents without a warrant. The same should apply to emails. It's communication. It's just done electronically. But the law does not allow, let me say it another way, after emails are over 6 months old, Americans should be aware of the fact that government may seize those emails from a private company without your knowledge, without your consent, and without a warrant. That's why I've introduced, along with Representative Lofgren from California, that the law should be that emails are protected, that it's a right of privacy, and it's an expectation of privacy for Americans that emails be protected, and that government should be getting a warrant before they seize those documents, because it's a violation, at least in the spirit of the Fourth Amendment. And I hope that that legislation does finally come to the floor, and we get a vote on protecting the Fourth Amendment, the right of privacy for Americans when it comes to emails. The same applies not only just to emails, but under the circumstances, it would apply to geolocation devices, that the government knows where you are. I think that government, to keep up with you, needs a warrant to stalk you throughout the United States. The third thing I wanted to mention in the remaining time was a completely different issue, but it has to do with drones, the right of privacy. We're in the drone age. It's estimated that by 2030 we'll have 30,000 drones over the skies of the United States, 30,000 of them. Drones are a marvelous invention. They are highly technical. They can be very small. You can get one at a local store the size you can put in the palm of your hand. And no question about it, there are good uses for drones. And right now, the law is that the FAA regulates the use of drones throughout the United States. It may permit some, it may permit not, may refuse to permit them. FAA, a bureaucratic decision. Congress needs to weigh in on the issue of drones and set down constitutional guidelines. People need to know the rules. Law enforcement needs to know the rules, and private citizens need to know the rules about their use of drones. And basically, the Fourth Amendment ought to apply to the use of a drone, except with the exigent circumstances that already apply to the Fourth Amendment. High-speed chases, disasters, fires, etc. But we need some guidelines on the issues of drones. Congress has the responsibility to protect the Fourth Amendment by the surveillance of Americans by either law enforcement or by private citizens, and develop a standard for both law enforcement and for private citizens to know what the standard is. Yes, there are reasons why we should use them, and the law should allow those, but Congress needs to make the decision, not the FAA. I have a local sheriff, or the sheriff in Texas, where I'm from, generally says he doesn't want to use drones because he doesn't know what the courts are going to decide down the road as to whether or not that use of drone was a lawful or unlawful violation of the Fourth Amendment. So rather than wait for the courts to decide if this specific use is or is not a violation of the Fourth Amendment, Congress needs to come up with guidelines with the design and the protection of the Fourth Amendment that drones can only be used in certain circumstances. And otherwise, they're not allowed to be used because they violate the Fourth Amendment of the United States. So those are three issues that have the right of privacy that are being, I think, chilled today because there's more and more government intrusion into all of those areas, into the massive data of phone information that's put on your iPhone, for example, that's being seized, can be seized. without knowledge, without warrant. The massive amount of emails that can be seized, we really don't know how much is being seized because over 6 months, your personal email is not protected by law. Government agencies, not just law enforcement, can seize that. And then the skies will be 30,000 of those drones. There needs to be some regulations within protection of the Fourth Amendment. We need to work with industry and government to outline what those rules ought to be to protect the Fourth Amendment, protect the right of privacy of individuals to be secure in their homes, in their papers, and their effects from government intervention and government intrusion. And Congress should set the standard for what a reasonable expectation of privacy is, especially in those areas that I mentioned, and the one regarding drones as well. So I hope that we see some movement in this legislation. Once again, Zoe Lofgren and I have introduced legislation, as well as others, to protect the right of individuals to be free from searches of their emails after 6 months without a search warrant. We have that legislation pending as well. Hopefully, we can rein in what I call the stalking government about stalking American citizens. America is not about keeping up and following every citizen in the United States by government. That's what other countries do. That's what countries like the Soviet Union used to do. That's not what America should be doing. And Congress needs to weigh in on this to protect individuals' right of privacy under the Fourth Amendment, which was the spark, according to John Adams, to the American Revolution, that concept of the Fourth Amendment being violated. And that's just the way it is. I'll yield back.